started, I want to welcome you folks to our third annual Memory Recover Discover. And what this is a community event focused on reducing the stigma and increasing knowledge surrounding substance use disorder, mental health, and formerly incarcerated. So appreciate each and every one of you being here. And kind of took off in a different way this morning. What we're going to do is we're going to introduce our mayor of Elk Grove, Craig Johnson. He's going to share a few things about what we're doing here and what type of impact Elk Grove Cares is having on the community, and then we'll take it from there. Mayor Craig Johnson.
Thank you. I met that young man a couple years ago. We were rolling out our Elk Grove Cares program. I went to every church in the community to speak about it. And one of the first people to come up to me, we embraced it, talked about it, heard about his history, and he is like the poster child of success and how we can help so many people. So thank you for everything you're doing. I apologize. I know I kind of messed up the schedule, but we have a parade going on a little later, and I'm responsible for graduating the grandkids to get them organized for my float and all that. So I got to be going soon, but I didn't want to miss this. Because it's hard to believe it's been 3.5 years since Elk Grove rolled out as the Department of Justice from the United States federal government said, the revolutionary plan to attack the disease of addiction. Again, the disease of addiction. And people say, Mayor, you always express that, you always say it. I said, because it's true. And one of the reasons we're not making the headway we should be is because people all don't look at it as a disease. I can't tell you, people tell me, including some of my fellow elected officials, oh, it's self-inflicted. Oh, I said, you know what? I've talked to thousands of people as mayor. No one ever came up to me and said, you know what, Mayor, I woke up this morning and said, hey, I'm going to become an addict. Hey, let me go get high, I'm going to be an addict today. It doesn't happen that way. Just like I didn't wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to have heart disease. I had it. I had bypass surgery. I had heart disease. My mother, God bless her soul, died of the disease of cancer. No different than the disease of addiction. But the problem we have in this world is we stereotype. When I had my bypass surgery, my neighbors for weeks, Craig, can we do anything for you? Can we drive you anywhere? Can we get something for you? Hey, how about if we make you dinner tonight? How about, hey, nothing to do, let's watch the game together. My mom, when she had cancer, all the neighbors, hey, we'll take care of the kids for a couple days, George, while you go do this, my father and all that. We'll do this, do that, no problem. But when you see you have the disease of addiction, ooh. Hey, we're overcoming that stereotype. We're showing people that we need to take care of it. And if anyone followed the news, the last year, we had more overdose deaths in the history of the world. We've never had that many. Matter of fact, in June and July of this year, more people are dying every day of overdose than were dying of COVID. You read about COVID all the time, you see it all the time, and it's yes, it's something we got to take care of. But what happened to the addiction part? The disease of addiction is being forgotten about. We cannot forget. We've got to make sure we stay on top of it. And not just opioids. During this COVID time, in our program, we've seen more people with disease of alcoholism. We actually see folks with opioid addiction. We've looked, as we studied, Des and all the rest of it throughout. One of the bad things about COVID, yes, the addiction of opioids is growing, it's rampant. But the problem is, people are getting the stimulus money. You know what they're using that money for? Buy the next fix. So all of a sudden, they fall off the radar for a while. Because they got it. They're not desperate. They're not looking for help. They got to reach out because they got the money coming in. So as much as we try to help as government, we sometimes hurt things. So that's why today's event, and all the events go on, we've got to make sure we stay on the forefront. And we got to make sure we stay ahead of the curve. We got to make sure we spread the word. That's the key. Because our program is revolutionary. We are making a difference. It's something that's never been done before. You got to keep spreading the word. Matter of fact, Des, our young man sitting right there, and one of the point people in our program, spoke down in Texas. The Department of Justice had that speak around the country. Because the program does work. It does make a difference. And shortly after he spoke, I had an event in Elk Grove. A woman came up to me and said, "Hey, Mayor," she goes, "I just got back from New York." I said, "Oh, great." She goes, "No, I got to tell you what happened in New York." I said, "Well, what happened? You had a good time?" She goes, "No." I talked to a New York police officer. And he came up to me and said, "Where are you from?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm from Elk Grove Village, Illinois." He goes, "Oh, I know your town well." She goes, "Really? Were your family there? Visited?" "No. I heard one of your people talking about your community at a program talking about the disease of addiction." She goes, "What?" "Yeah," he goes, "I was in Texas." And he goes, "Because I was so impressed with what he's doing in Elk Grove, New York City is modeling their program after Elk Grove Cares." The biggest, yes. The biggest thing in the country is copying what we do. That tells you something. And she said to me, she goes, "Mayor, I was never so proud to telling people I'm from Elk Grove." So we are spreading the word, but we got to keep doing it. We're excited to do it. We just got another $100,000 grant this week from the state. Once we're back there, our state rep from the state, we got another $100,000. That gives us the financial means to help people. We got a phenomenal partnership, an unbelievable partnership with Kenneth. You can't ask for better partners than that, right in our own backyard. And we can beat this disease of addiction. We got to stay the course. We got to stay more focused than ever before. And by working together as a team, we will win. I know it. I believe it in my heart. And I know we're not going to give up. And that's why I tell people, I've been mayor, some people may say too long, 25 years now. And people ask me all the time, "Mayor, what are you most proud of?" "Oh, that beautiful renovation in the residential area, or that new tech park and stuff." I said, "Not even close. What I'm most proud of is the Elk Grove Cares program." Because that's going to change the world. Because if we're successful there as we're becoming, we can change the world for the better. And we will beat the disease of addiction. And someday, it won't exist. Just like smallpox is gone. The disease of addiction is gone. But we can't quit until we do that. So I thank you for your time today. I appreciate everything. I know you have some great people speak today. I apologize, I'm going to be rude by leaving, but I got to move on. But I did not want to miss this because we're doing too well. We're going to keep doing well, and we're going to win. We're going to succeed. So thank you for everything. Thank you for everyone here. Kenneth Young, and this young man too. Big hand. Thank you very much.
That was good stuff, huh? So I want to share with you, for me, this is really has come full circle. Because in 2019, it kicked off for me here at Kenneth Young. When I was asked to speak here, to share my story of experience, strength, and hope. And they were just starting recovery, vision, and I was asked to think about it and come on and lead that up. And when we first started that, it was opioids that we were focusing on. And since I've been able to have an awesome, what I call her as a nation builder, our director, Sheree Payton, she's allowed me to have a blank canvas, and just do my thing. And so with that, again, the brush has been brought to where we're looking at alcohol, we're looking at mental health, we're looking at the formerly incarcerated and the incarcerated. We're doing the things that are helping folks to reintegrate themselves back into their families and society. Because gone are the days where those labels identify you. You know, crackhead, heroin addict, alcohol, all those things are sticking. I'm grateful to be on the front lines, to be an advocate for making that change. being a part of that solution. So again, this is something that's really huge for me. I want to read to you our mission statement and tell you a little bit about who Kenneth Young is, because I drove past this building for many years being an Elbrovian and never knew this was what this was about. So our mission statement is we partner with communities to support people of all ages to navigate life's challenges through personalized prevention, intervention, treatment, and recovery. Kenneth Wayne Young played many roles in his life: husband, father, pastor, military man, scholar, advisor, and friend. He was many things to many people. He loved to preach and give speeches, and when he spoke, everyone listened. He had a way of making each listener feel as if they were speaking, he was speaking just to them. He had a spirit that captivated others and inspired greatness. He knew when to lead, when to let others shine as leaders. Over 30 years after his death, those who knew him talk about him with warmth, reverence, and always a smile. But one of Ken's greatest titles had to be community activist. During desegregation, he fought to integrate his community in Cicero, Illinois. He worked tirelessly for family services there to give equal rights to people of all colors, believing to his core that every human being had the right to be cared for and respected. When his family moved to Hoffman Estates, he worked as the pastor of Our Savior's United Methodist Church and quickly got involved with the Elk Grove Schaumburg Township Mental Health Center, which would later be renamed in his memory as Kenneth Young Center. An idealist and revolutionary at heart, he volunteered for the center as a member of the board, becoming a trusted advisor, CEO, and lead to the leadership team. At that time, the center focused exclusively on mental health services, advocating for the most vulnerable in the community to have access to quality, compassionate mental health care. Despite years in his own health problems, Ken's tenacious spirit never faltered. He tried to never miss a Sunday at the pulpit and helped at the center whenever possible. At 60 years old, Ken passed away from cancer in October 1986. Just months later, the center where he spent so much of his time got a new name, the Kenneth Young Center. So that's how it was. One of the biggest blessings, I believe, other than reconnecting with my family, and I want to make sure that you folks understand, those of us who have this tick, as I call it, we do a lot of damage. We're the primary individuals, but we do a lot of damage to the people that are around us. So my family received some hellified shrapnel from my situation. And it takes time, if you're able, to rebuild that. And through many blessings and with the help of God, that's what I say, I've been able to put that back together. Because at one point, I thought that because I was sober, that they should automatically forgive me and everything should be okay. That's not necessarily true. They are wounded as well. They are hurt as well. Our substance use disorder is impactful on them as well and causes them a level of trauma. And so it's imperative that I had to learn how to back off and allow them to heal. It happened. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But man, it's so awesome. I'm a blessed man. I have to tell you. And so, with that, I tell the folks that God allows me, and I always say allows, because listen, I'm in a situation where I'm redeeming the time. Everyone doesn't get to do that. I spent many years immersed in substance use. Let me tell you, 23 of those years was heroin every day. And here I stand, So I know. And I'll share this. I thank you for the applause, but I don't say that for applause. I say that as an example of what could be. And I just wasn't finished. God wasn't finished with me yet. And so He's allowing me to be of assistance to others. So I tell folks all the time, we have a tick. And those of you who don't have this tick, what that means is, see, you can go out and have a drink, do whatever you want, and maybe not touch it for however long. I'm not that cat. One is not enough, and 1,000 is too many for me. And I understand that. Yeah, it takes me to another place, and it destroys everything in my path expeditiously. Not only that, I don't want to die. I know I'm eventually going to leave this existence, but I'm not going to help it along with substances in that way. I can't do that. So I just encourage folk to, because this is an inside job. Those of us who struggle, I tell them all the time, it's not my fault that I have this tick. It is not my fault. You understand what I'm saying to you? It is not my fault that I have this tick, but guess what? Ooh, man, it's my responsibility to do something about it. And this is where the fork in the road hits with me. I've had 3 individuals in my life who I loved, oh man, dearly, my grandmother and 2 aunts, who I saw cancer just destroy them. I personally, and I want you to understand me clearly, I personally don't like to hear people equate substance use disorder with cancer. It's 2 totally different beasts. They both are disease. But see, if I go to the doctor and I get a fatal diagnosis, I just have to get my affairs in order. If I'm told I have this tick, but there's a solution, if I make a decision, and again, you go back to the inside job, if I make a decision to do something about it, guess what? I can get sober and hopefully get over recovery. But understanding those 2 things are totally different. People throw the recovery word around a lot. They're totally different. Sobriety is just I'm no longer putting any mind-altering substances in my being, but recovery, baby, that's a whole different ballgame. That's transformative thinking change and behavioral change. Because I'm still doing the same thing that I was doing when I was getting high and drunk and immersed in all those addictive behaviors. What's changed? Nothing. And I refuse to live like that. So I tell folks all the time, I don't want to be happy, I want to be free. Because I got to a point I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. And today, I can do that. You know, I can do that. And I know that other folks can do it as well. I'm not alone in this. But that panacea, that substance that had me in bondage, no more. And I say this all the time. People say, you can't say, you know, what's going to happen tomorrow. You know? Yes, I can. Because I would rather not be above ground than to put any substance in my being that's going to take me away from the gifts that I've been given today. All right? So, with that being stated, I want to introduce, you know, I'm going to tell you something. I'm a people person, you know, and I know that we all have our different paths and lives professionally, and sometimes folks will allow a title to take them away from just that humanistic connection, just being personable and compassionate. Our president and CEO, Rick Duffin, is one of those individuals. I'm telling you, she is a professional. She's the epitome of professionalism. But man, she is just so personal with us as staff, and she truly, truly cares about us and where we're going and what we want to do. And she will support. She's also funny as all get out. You got to hear her fishing stories with her family. I mean, it's just it's something. But I'm just grateful for her presence, and she's here. She's going to share some things with us as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Grace Duffin, and I'm honored to be the president and CEO of Kenneth Center. I became the president in 2018, and so when I started here, I knew what a gem Kenneth Center was and the talented staff that it has. And so my focus when I got here was to ensure that the community and the clients that needed us was served in the best way possible. So I did change the organization in a way to pull prevention and non-clinical recovery out of kind of the treatment part or the arm of KYC to create what we know as community collaborations today. And so you will see multiple staff members here that put this day together and this time together. And so please, when you see them, thank them. I can't thank them enough. I haven't seen them enough because of COVID. And so for everyone that's here in this room, out there, thank you for putting this together. Daryl. And so it is also September, which is Recovery Month and Suicide Prevention Month. And for KYC, this is a month that we celebrate and we reflect, and we also want folks to realize that you're not alone. Recovery is possible, right? Our poster child right here. We have staff that are so courageous and ready to share their recovery stories. And so let this time be a time where you can have fellowship with one another and share with one another. Because truly it does take a village. I know that sounds cliche, but it takes all of us. It takes the support of one another. I was just telling Daryl before that when someone's going through a mental health crisis, issue, illness, or substance use disorder, that they're not alone, right? Their disease affects family, affects friends, affects people that care about them. And so at KYC, we're not just helping that person, we want to help people that surround them and love them and want to support them. And so that's why we have a continuum of services that we have here. We have prevention and non-clinical recovery. We have crisis intervention, or just intervention. We have treatment, and then we have clinical recovery. So both, right? Get the two ends of the spectrum, and we have the services in between. And so please, if you need support, if you need help, we are here to help you as a community, as an individual, as a family, as people in this room. And so we have also our awesome clinical staff here that will be on a panel. And so the talent and the professionals that we have working here is so remarkable. I've worked in many places, met many folks, and I'm so proud to be here as the president and CEO because it's amazing. I have had other opportunities, and I choose to stay here because of the work that we're able to do and the impact that we're able to make. And so I'm additionally fortunate that we are also in Elk Grove Village, a village that supports us, working with the police department in so many different programming, having representatives like Representative Musman support our programming. For those that don't know, Kenneth Young Center will be the 24/7 crisis provider. Some of you might know about the 988 suicide prevention hotline that will be coming out from the federal government. Kenneth Young Center has applied to be the crisis provider for Elk Grove Township and Schaumburg Township. We received that grant, and so we'll be working with police departments, community members in ensuring that if there's a crisis that happens, whether it's a mental health issue or a substance use issue, any crisis, that it will be KYC in those townships to serve those folks. So please share that as well. We're in the midst of planning. I'm hoping that we'll get some stakeholder meetings together for feedback from the community, and so look out for that as well. So thank you for being here. I'm honored to have you all here and be fed today, because that's what I'll be doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Grace. I'm going to ask the Elk Grove social worker, Des Rafferty, share a few words with us and tell you about some of the things that he's doing and he's experiencing on that end.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Des Rafferty, and I'm the social service supervisor at the Elk Grove Village Police Department. I've been there now for 22 years. And I have to tell you that in the last 3 years, I mean, the last 22 years have been just absolutely wonderful. It's a place I lived in. I moved out of it recently. I just love this community. And I just love being part of our police department. I know that there's a lot of media out there about police and a lot of issues, and they certainly are issues, and they need to be addressed, and hopefully they are being addressed. But as a social worker at this police department, I felt very cared for and very supported in my work. I'm coming towards the end of my career there, a number of years from now, of course, but I tell my supervisor that if I have 3 bad days in a row at the police department, I'm retiring. And I've been saying that for the last 5 to 10 years, and I'm still here. So I just want to kind of put that out there, that the work that I'm doing is so greatly supported by our police department and also by this community. And our connection also with the Kenneth Young Centre has been just wonderful. And we have got even more connected over the last 3.5 years, since we developed this Grow Village Cares program, which I am so proud of. And the interesting thing we're doing with our program is we have a PhD student doing an evaluation of our program, and we hope to have a report out by the end of next month, just looking at how we can change and transform this program and make it better than what it is. Certainly, hearing the mayor say that this is one program, of all the things he's been involved in the village, that this program is the one that he is so grateful for and so proud of. And I have to say that it has been just an amazing experience for myself. As a social worker, and I had another career before I was a social worker, but I have learned so much in the last 3.5 years about the suffering in our communities. And even though I've been a social worker, meeting people, working with people who are victims of domestic violence, people with mental health issues, and now even more so people with substance abuse, because in our program we provide supportive services for people who want to get into recovery. This program, the Grow Village Cares program, is programming that is being embraced more throughout the country. And in Lake County, their police departments there have been doing a wonderful job in really being a presence in the community. What I love about our program is the manner in which we have been so supported by the village. We've got funding, even before we got state or federal funding, the village gave us a very, very large grant so that we could ensure that people who walked into our police department, whether they had funds or not, they would be cared for. And I have to say that over the last 3 years, we have had 84 people come into treatment, and a number of those have maintained their sobriety. In fact, I have one man who sticks out in my mind, an Grow Village resident, who was coming up on his 40th birthday. He had been a substance, I think he was a heroin user for many years. And he came in, he just dropped in, I hadn't heard from him for 2 years since he came into our program. He was sober. He said he just wanted me to know how grateful he was for what he received through the program. And he said, for the first time ever, I've got my own apartment, I've got my own bank account. And he said, I come and visit my parents, and they're not scared. And I just thought that we know that this people who are struggling with substance abuse, there are great stories of breakthrough. We hear from Darrell here and others, and there are also very sad stories of people who have passed away. Probably in the beginning of our program, I want to kind of acknowledge 3 very wonderful women here in our community. 3 of their children, each of their children had died of an overdose. And one woman, just to emphasize and to let our village mayor know and the trustees know that these are real people. She brought her son's ashes to the meeting, just as a reminder that this is very real. And so there are so many families in our communities and in other communities and people right here who know the pain of addiction. Not only the person who's dealing with addiction, you know that is a very difficult experience, but also difficult for family members. And at our police department, we have been slowly bringing this message to our officers, that when they go out and they see somebody who's dealing with addiction, this is somebody who is struggling with a very, very deep struggle. And I have to say that we have, I've seen kind of an evolution in our police department among our police officers. Is it true for all? I don't believe so. But we have had some people send me notes when our police officers brought them to their facilities and the treatment centers they were going to, just thanking them for the way in which the officer dealt with them. I hope that this will become more and more an experience. Before I finish, I would also like to acknowledge the treatment centers that we are involved with. We have the SHARE program, and I know that Bruce is here. He's the director of Life and Family Services. Them and Gateway Foundation have been wonderful. It's just so good to be able to call people up. They know my name now, and they just, I'm able to get people into their programs. We also are involved with 2-day programs, Symmetria in Des Plaines and a Bridge Back in Buffalo Grove. We're hoping to find other services so that we can, when people come to our doors, they don't have to wait. And we know that this is a challenging time for treatment centers because it's not always possible to get people in immediately. And certainly the stories I've heard from people who've gone into recovery is the amount of time they've had to wait. And during that waiting time, that they have just stepped aside and re-engaged with their substance use. I think it would be my hope that when somebody comes into a place like our police department, we can get them straight into a treatment center and there is no gap, no waiting. That's certainly a prayer that I have and a hope that I have. But again, I'm just grateful for all of you being here, grateful that Kenneth Young created this opportunity for us all to get together, and thank you all.
I wanted to acknowledge we have our state rep, Michelle Spit in the house. Would you say a few words, please?
Thank you very much. It's very kind of you to let me come up and say a few words. I know that you're all here for incredibly personal reasons on your journey, and I do want you to know that opioid addiction and mental illness is incredibly important to the members of the General Assembly. I'm very proud to serve on the Mental Health Committee, and this is an issue we've been pursuing for some time. Illinois has really passed some landmark legislation, and I want you to know that we are on the forefront of taking action on this. Now, obviously, it takes years and very small steps to put all of these little things into place over time, but you should know that we are really trying to aggressively attack this. You have a lot of really good champions that I'm very proud to work with in the General Assembly. If you have suggestions on what you think we could be doing better, please call me. My assistant Christy's in the back of the room. We are here for you. And again, most of the ideas that we work on, they really do come from the general public. You talk to us about your experiences, and we will do the best we can to put that into real world action. But I am so grateful to have community partners like Kenneth Young Center, like the Village of Elk Grove. They really, I cannot tell you the sacrifices that they have made to advance programs like this in their community. As you know, it can be very controversial. And I am very proud that they have stood their ground and that they have stood with the members of their community and members outside of their community to really try and protect everyone. So again, very happy to be here. And thank you to KYC and everyone who put this event together. I hope we continue to outreach and make things like this broader and broader and broader.
Thank you, Michelle. So we're going to move into our speakers. The first person that's going to speak, I saw this cat when he was at his worst. And I've been allowed to walk his sobriety journey and his recovery journey. He's an awesome cat. He He's doing phenomenal work. He's put his life back together, and sometimes when he speaks about, you know, where he's come from to where he is now, it just affects me because I remember that day when I first met him, and he was just in the throes of his adversity. So, welcome, Tom Allegra.
Thanks, Eric. Alcohol fits into my brain like a puzzle piece. What I'm doing here right now is not normal for me. It's not natural. And I'm not talking about public speaking. This is not my default state. My default is drunk. That is where I'm most comfortable. That is what became normal for me. The event is Remember, Recover, Discover, so I'm gonna stick to that format a bit. I was doing some reflecting on my journey with alcohol. I do struggle with substance use disorder. My father has the same struggles, his father had the same struggles, and I was warned as a child that this could be a genetic thing. I first drank out of curiosity. I just wondered, you know, why do adults do it? Why does my dad do it? If it's so bad, my mom doesn't like it, what's the appeal there? So I tried it, and I enjoyed it, and it was fine and dandy. It wasn't, you know, an amazing experience, life-changing experience for me. As I continued to do it, I would drink. I was 13 at the time I first drank. So by age 14, 15, I was drinking on the weekends with friends, and I knew then that alcohol was different with me. I obsessed about it, and that's how I define addiction. I believe that's how it's commonly defined. It's the obsession. It's not the act of drinking. It's the fact that every day, all day, I was thinking about drinking. I was planning drinking. I was scheming. I was negotiating with my friends. Where are we going to go this week? How are we going to get booze? You know, we got to do this. And they didn't seem to care like I did. They were just take it or leave it. Like if we drink, we drink, and if we don't, you know, we'll still be fun. I was on a mission to just always make it happen. I struggled with depression as an adolescent. Very, very bad, acute suicidal depression that was untreated, and I began to self-medicate with alcohol. That alcohol made me feel the way I had always wanted to feel. It made me confident. It made me, you know, I thought I was more fun, more interesting. That was not the case for me. High school in my youth was kind of a disaster. It's riddled with regrets. My alcohol use spiraled, increased. I experienced physical dependency. I experienced arrest. I had been through rehabs all through high school. Alcohol gave me the illusion of fun. I saw it, again, differently than my friends. I saw it as liquid medicine. Alter my I have had periods of sobriety. I have worked, I first found myself in AA at the age of 16, and I had brief periods of sobriety, and I was sober from 18 to 21, and it was well after my 21st birthday that I decided to drink again, and then I was sober 2 years to the day from age 23 to 25. And what always got me was in AA, they have what is called the persistent illusion. I wanted to drink normally. I wanted to be like my friends. I wanted to drink on the weekends. I wanted to have a couple beers after cutting the grass. I wanted that more than anything because deep down I loved alcohol. And after periods of sobriety, sometimes I did control it for a bit, but it always catches up to me. always comes back to bite me every time. When I met Daryl, I was spiraling. I had broken up with a partner and I was living alone and there was no accountability, and it was getting real bad, even to the point where I could admit that this was unmanageable. My life was not going well. Basically, I don't know if you guys know, science or medical stuff, but I found myself at a point where my body was shutting down and I was passing out at 0.35 blood alcohol, and I was going into withdrawal at 0.3, which it can be lethal for some people. So I had to tread the line of being near deadly amounts of alcohol in order not to go into withdrawal. And I knew it was getting bad, and I knew I needed help. So I went to a 12-step meeting because that's what I knew at the time, and I just showed up and I had to drink before I went to an AA meeting. Because I didn't want to be shaking or start seizing, and I didn't have enough, and I was shaking in this meeting, and Daryl saw me from across the room and pulled me outside, and that's when I met Daryl. And a lot of you probably know Daryl, are friends with Daryl. I hate Daryl. He was the only one who didn't coddle me, who saw through my crap. And I hated him. And I wasn't ready. People offered to take me to the hospital to get it together. And I wasn't quite ready. I had some plans. I had some New Year's plans. It was going to be a girl. It was going to be great. And the pros of my alcoholism seamless. It was a disaster. I ended up in the hospital about 5 times in the course of a month. One was in the UK. They stopped me at the airport, held me too long. I had a seat. They threw me in the UK. They just threw me on a gurney and let me shake in the hallway for a couple of days, and then missed my flight. It was a wreck. I had actually liked the person I went to see. She wanted this way person, so it tarnishes every single aspect of my life. Everything I care about, it will eventually scorch and burn to the ground. My family, my friends, my loved ones, my finances, my job, everything gets affected by my drinking. And when I came back, I was completely and utterly demoralized. I was broken. And I was so desperate. I was willing to do anything, and I think sadly I had to get to that point where I was willing to do anything to stay sober, because I was ready to die. I mean, I was actively suicidal. I just couldn't take it anymore. I didn't see any other way out. So I came to Daryl and I said, I will do whatever it takes, no matter what I have to do. And I'll try anything. I'll do AA, I'll try SMART meetings, I'll go to therapy, I'll do anything it takes, because I can't live like this. I'm hurting everybody around me. I'm losing everything, and it's torture. It's the worst. And I got to work. I started to recover. A noteworthy experience was I was 11 days sober, and this was in the winter time. My last drink was around January 7th. I was 11 days sober in the midst of a girl I had started dating, and we were getting along real well. And she came over to my place for a third date. It was supposed to snow real bad, and we were going to get food and watch a movie. And Daryl calls me. It's 5 or 6 o'clock. Daryl calls me up and says, "Hey Tom, I want you to come with me to a treatment center and speak in a half hour." There's a blizzard. They're telling people to stay in. They're about to close the roads. A bad blizzard. I drive a sedan. I got this young lady over that I'm very interested in. I do not want to do this at all. And I told her, I said, no, I hate it. And I knew what he was going to say before he said it. He said, Tom, if you were drinking and you ran out of booze tonight and there was a snowstorm, would that snowstorm stop you from going out to get more booze? And I said, no, I would walk barefoot through a blizzard for miles to get more booze. And I said, you're right, I'm gonna do this. So I told my lady friend, I said, hey, this guy I'm working with in my recovery, he wants me to go speak tonight. And I don't know what I'm gonna say, because I have not figured this out. I'm still getting night sweats at this point, waking up drenched in sweat. My body's still recovering. I'm 11 days sober. What message am I going to give? These people have been sober longer than me. And the person I was with at that time was very, very understanding. Said, no, this is important. You do it. I can hang out here. I can go. I said, no, just wait. And the joke is on Daryl because in 2 weeks from now, I will be marrying that woman. I worked the 12 steps because that worked in the past, and I worked it harder than I ever had. I was broken. I had no self-esteem. I said, how do I get self-esteem? Daryl said, you gain esteem by doing esteemable things, and it takes time, and it did. I had to work on opening up and being honest because I was a very, very closed-off person, like an onion. I had these walls up, and it took time to break them down and be vulnerable and talk about things that are bothering me because my substance use disorder, I call it the demon in my head. People have different names for it, but it's sneaky and it's scary, and I can be committed one day and be weak another day, and all it takes is a moment of weakness, and it'll scout the perimeter of my mind and try to pick a scab and pick until it's an open wound, and it could be irrelevant things in my life. Sometimes I don't even see it coming, but it'll find things in my head and try to bring me down and make me weak, so I end up drinking. It's really scary and demoralizing to be drinking and break promises to yourself. That's, breaking a promise to a friend or family sucks, but when you promise yourself something and you break that promise, it makes you feel like you're crazy. So I worked these steps, I worked on honesty, and I tried to be of service to people. That's a lot of people in my situation is being of service to people, working with other people that struggle with addictive behaviors, or coming and speaking at an event like this, or driving through a snowstorm to talk to some people that are in a treatment center. That helps combat my selfish nature because my default setting is selfish. I want to be drunk. I don't want to be here talking to people. I want to be hiding in my basement drunk because my disorder makes me think that somehow sitting on the couch with a bottle of vodka alone or hiding in the basement, somehow there's a part of me that thinks that's fun, and it's not. And it gives me the illusion that I'm having a good time, and it's pathetic, and my friends can see it, and I can't when I'm in that. So I've picked up the pieces slowly, and I've done whatever it takes to stay sober. Like I said, I've tried everything. I'm not normally, spirituality and religion work well for a lot of people in my shoes, and I think that's because it's something that's always there for you 24/7. You don't need a phone, you don't need a cell signal, you don't need a building, you can just go to it. And I found something that works for me, and it doesn't have to be, organized religion or a church. And faith doesn't come easy to me, but I took kind of, some people say karma is real if you believe it, and that's the route I took with religion. If I choose to believe this and commit to this, then it will be real to me and it will help me, and it does. But I draw on everything and anything because in my recovery, I have remained desperate. I've held on to that pain. I remember like it was yesterday, and that's what keeps me from going back. It hasn't been peaches and cream. I've had moments of weakness. I've had bad days. I've wanted to go back to that because this is not normal for me. This is not comfortable for me to be sober, but I've gotten to a point where it is, and it's absolutely incredible. At a certain point, after remaining sober and actually doing work, and not just not drinking, but actually doing work on myself, it just takes time. It doesn't happen right away. It's not an easy journey, but around 6, 7, 8 months, that switch gets turned off, and suddenly it's not, why can't I drink today? It's, I don't have to drink today. I'm finally free. And that is person I was living with if we had to get groceries after work, because that was one more hour that I couldn't be drinking. And now I don't have to do that to myself. I don't have to poison my body and feel like crap all the time. And what I've discovered is that today I actually like the person that I see in the mirror. Today, doing the right thing is second nature to me. I no longer doubt my decision-making ability. When I found Daryl, I was afraid to make any type of decision because I didn't trust myself. My life was a wreck. Today, I like to think I'm actually a good romantic partner, a good friend, a good son, a good brother, a good coworker. The last speaker said something about their family's not afraid of them anymore. I mean, my family was terrified of me. They took me to the hospital on New Year's Eve. It was horrific. I woke up face down on the floor alone on New Year's Day of 2019. And now my relationship with them is amazing. It's growing. I'm fostering it. I'm golfing with my dad every week. I engage in life. My life doesn't revolve around recovery. It's not, recovery isn't everything to me anymore. It's the most important thing in my life, because without my recovery, everything else will fall apart. My relationship will fall apart, my job will fall apart. So I have to keep that first and foremost, but my life doesn't revolve around recovery. My recovery from my disorder has allowed me to actually live life. I'm not bound by alcohol anymore. Seeing it in the grocery store doesn't bother me. Seeing my friends drink doesn't bother me. It's just not a factor. I just have to do what I have to do. So I keep going to meetings. I keep talking with Daryl. I go to therapy. I don't even know, what works and what doesn't, but I try it all because I hold on to that pain and I don't allow myself to forget what it was like, because that was hell. And I don't ever want to go back to that, because today I have true joy and true happiness, and not what that bottle gave me was nothing. That was synthetic, that was artificial, but now I get joy and I'm content with things, and I appreciate everything I have, and stop to smell the roses kind of stuff. Recovering from alcohol is the best thing I've ever done. This is the first time in my life I've truly been happy. The past 18 months of my life that I've been sober has been the best months of my life. Even the best times drinking are still not as good as my worst day now. And I couldn't be happier. And I wish I could say, like, oh, it's easy, just do this. But the one thing I've learned is that what works for some doesn't work for others or everybody. There isn't one solution to this. Some people need medication. Some people have dual diagnosis and need to work on their mental health. Some people use religion. Some people use AA. Some people hate AA because it's religious. Some people do smart recovery. And that's why I really like what I see going on here with Kenneth and Daryl's work is they give options, and they try to find the best solution for the individual, which is what I think we need, because this is not a complex, or this is a complex issue, and it's not an easy solution. So, I don't really have a conclusion here, but I think I covered what I needed to say, and thank you. Thank you for being here.
Wow, I'm telling you, that's the stuff that just has me for real. And if you know like I know, to see this cat 18 months ago, and to see him today, and he's right, his fiance is a beautiful asset to who he is, and so I'm proud of you, man. That's all I can say, I'm proud of you. And to his point, The guy, he's still a very good friend of mine. He's a mentor. He's a father figure. The guy who sponsored me in a 12-step program for 8 years. I met with him back in May and told him that I was no longer a part of the 12-step program. And he said to me that if anybody else had said that to him, he would have stated they're on their way to relapse. He said, but I see what you're doing, and I know you, and I'm here for you. Because for me, I'm a recovery guy. So whatever it takes for you, whether it's AA, NA, CA, AJ, White Bison, religion, smart recovery, whatever it takes to help you to be whole, man, that's what I'm with. And so I don't go by one creed any longer. That will always be a part of my foundation. I know the book thoroughly, and those 12 steps are a blueprint for better living. Yes, they are. But it's no longer what I do and what I push. My deal, again, is recovery. And so I will say it again, sobriety and recovery being two different things totally. So moving forward, we got the Narcan training coming up. It's going to be, man, this is good stuff. So do you folks want to take a few minutes break, or are you good to keep moving? That was my daughter who said that. Of course, she'd be the first one to throw that out there like that. So how about we take a 6-minute break, and you got to come back.